means of the 3,000 billion ton carbon budget which is available for the entire world, US is going to emit anywhere between 550 to 600 billion tons. So you can understand who is responsible for climate change. Okay, India on its part, if you look at, even if India develops, as you know, Dr. Ghosh was talking about, that we will go to manufacturing, even if we grow at 6% emissions, we will by 2050 emit only about 300 billion ton. We account for 18% of the world population. So India will emit about 10% of the pollution, 18% of the population. US will emit 20% of the pollution, 5% of the population. So you can understand why equity is so emotive issue.
And what about China?
China will emit, because of population, China will emit about 600 billion ton itself. US and China will equalize by 2050. With the growth that is there, US and China will equalize. We will remain half of US.
Dr. Ghosh.
Yeah, let me give another way of presenting much the same kind of inference. In 2008, India, in a workshop at the UNFCCC, gave an assessment of historical responsibility, and what we said in that paper was that if for the period from 1850 to 2000 we take the carbon budget that is that would be available for for keeping the global temperature to below 2 degrees up to that point, and assign 2 tons per capita, which is what the global population in 2000 would justify across all countries, and then look at the countries which have exceeded this quota and which are the countries which have fallen below this quota on a cumulative basis from 1850 to 2000. And what we showed is that the entire carbon space, excess carbon space used by the developed countries put together is more than that the carbon space which has been yielded by China and India put together in this process has been sufficient to provide the excess carbon space which the developed countries have required. And either India or China has provided the carbon space for the US over this entire period. So in a sense we have been providing a carbon subsidy to the developed world, in the period from 1850 till now.
Okay, that's
I just want to say that by all equity principle, developed world has exhausted their appropriate carbon budget, their fair carbon budget, that they have exhausted. Okay, for all equity principle, all formulas you put in place.
Fine. So, but how is going to be the future now, and what is going to be the future of these negotiations? Is there going to be any balance that could be really struck between the developed and the developing nations? We'll talk about that. Time for a very quick break in Public Forum. Please stay tuned for more.